Hi there guys, my name is Jacob and welcome back to the channel. Now in this video, I just want to update you guys in regards to the GivEnergy situation. Now if you saw my last video, you will of course know that GivEnergy have unfortunately applied to go into administration. So if you're like me and you have a GivEnergy system, whether that be an inverter, a battery, an EV charger, this is bad news, and of course it is. But since then, we have had an update from GivEnergy software. Now, I wasn't aware of this prior to making my last video, but GivEnergy software and GivEnergy Limited are two separate things. They fall under the same GivEnergy umbrella, but ultimately they are separate companies. So that means just because the equipment side of GivEnergy has applied for administration, ultimately there is a department or a company or a team of people that look after the software side of things that is separate and currently has not gone into administration. So from that side of things, that is a real positive. Now, how long they will last is, very much up in the air. And that's kind of what I want to address in this video, along with a couple of other things. If you've been checking your emails in the past week, you will hopefully have seen a document that was sent out by GivEnergy software. For a lot of people, this email actually ended up falling into their junk emails. So if you haven't seen it, check your junk emails, because that's exactly where I found mine. Now, the document itself is actually a very long document, and they, in fairness to them, share a lot of information about what is actually going on and where we as customers and people who own GivEnergy equipment, where we stand moving forward. And they answer a lot of different popular questions that people obviously have at the moment. So well worth finding the email, well worth giving it a thorough read from top to bottom. And you might find that actually a lot of the questions that you want answering are answered in this document. Now, in terms of things like, the big questions such as warranties and support for equipment, GivEnergy software are not going to give us that they cannot guarantee that. And that is ultimately because that kind of support and the warranties don't belong to them. They belong to GivEnergy Limited, which is the equipment side of things. So on a warranty basis, we don't know where we stand on that at the moment. Hopefully another company may come along and buy GivEnergy, and maybe they will support the warranties in some way or another. But as I say, at the moment, that has not been answered. But one of the big questions, and definitely for myself I had, was where do we stand in terms of the app that we use to manage our inverter, battery, EV charger, and the cloud itself? And this is one thing they did clarify. So moving forward from May onwards, they're basically going to split the app and the cloud into a free tier and a premium tier that you have to pay for. Now, it wasn't immediately clear how much they were going to charge for this, but they have now said it's going to be $4.99 a month. If you sign up for it in May, which is the first month that it will be live, they will actually give you that first month free. So you won't start paying until June. But from June onwards, it is going to be $4.99. And that is going to give you access to certain things that, of course, the free tier does not give you access to. Now, I'm not going to break that down now because there's quite a few different differences. So I want you to obviously read the document and make it clear in your own mind what you get for the free tier and what you get for the premium tier. And then ultimately, you have to make your mind up whether you think that is something you're willing to pay for. Now, the way I see it, I'm currently in two minds as to whether to pay it. Because on one hand, I'm thinking, well, when I first signed up to this, I thought this was going to be free forever because that is how it was sold to me. So on that basis, I do feel a little annoyed that I'm now going to have to start paying for something that I've never had to before. However, on the other hand, I do want GivEnergy software to continue. I don't want to lose access to the app. I don't want to lose access to the cloud and all their historical graphs and just that kind of support. I want that to continue. And ultimately, for that to continue, there needs to be enough people paying the subscription fee of $4.99 a month for them to see it as viable to carry on. Of course, to run the cloud, there are servers to pay for, there are people to pay for to manage that kind of data and the cloud and any issues that might arise. So yes, there are costs involved with that, and ultimately they have to be paid. Previously, my understanding was they were paid for by the equipment side of GivEnergy, but because that side of it has now folded, that kind of income stream to pay for the cloud has gone. So that explains why they're now asking for a subscription fee from people like myself. So as I say, that is something to think about and something to mull over, and ultimately only you can decide whether you want to support them moving forward or whether you'd prefer to just use the free tier. Luckily, there is a free tier, and I think that is a good thing for them to provide because, as I say, when I first bought my system, I was sold this as it was going to be free for the lifetime of the system. So if they would have put the whole app and cloud behind a paid tier, I think there would have been a lot of outrage over that. So in terms of managing your system from home over your local network, connecting to your Wi-Fi, you're not going to have any issues in terms of telling your battery to charge or discharge, or even your EV. Now I'll just go to the EV now because it's on my mind. EV chargers was something that, again, a lot of people were worried about because they only work because they are connected to the GivEnergy cloud. Of course, if they close the servers and the cloud no longer exists, there was a lot of worry about whether the EV charger itself would just be useless. And they have clarified this. Now, the advice I gave in my last video was basically to change the settings on your EV charger to plug and charge. And that would basically mean if the servers went off, then your charger would remember the last setting it was on, which is plug and charge, and it would always work from then on out on just plug and charge. However, surprisingly, they have actually clarified in the document that they sent you on email, they've actually clarified that plug and charge is still a service that only works when connected to their cloud. So that actually isn't the solution. Should the cloud go offline, plug and charge would not work, which I'll be honest, when I read that, I was really surprised because to me, that just seemed the logical solution to the problem. But they have clarified there is a solution, and I've already tested it before I told you guys because I wanted to make sure this works. So basically what they are saying is you need to set your EV charger to a 24-hour schedule. What I mean by that is you need to go into the scheduling part, set a schedule for 7 days a week, 24 hours per day. And what that will mean is the charger, because the schedule is set for 24/7, it will always charge no matter what time of day. It will always charge when you plug it in. But for me, I don't want my charger to always charge when I plug the car in because I want to make the most of tariffs like Octopus Go, where overnight I get a very cheap rate. So I was thinking, well, how can I make that work? And the way to make it work is, as I said, set that schedule up, that 24/7 charging schedule. So if the cloud goes offline, your EV charger will remember that schedule moving forward. And then how you control it as to whether you want it to charge straight away or be a delayed charge, you set it up through your car. Now, I've never done this before with my car. I've always relied on the GivEnergy app and just setting a schedule and plugging the car in and it works. But as I said, I've had to change the way I do things, and I tested this out not yesterday, the day before, to make sure it worked. So I've got an MG ZS EV 2022 model, and you can actually set a schedule in the car for when you want the car to take a charge. So that basically means the car is now in charge of when it takes a charge and when it doesn't. Whereas before I was using the app and the charger itself to determine when the car charges and when it doesn't. So now I've got a 24/7 schedule set up. I then set a separate schedule on my car's infotainment system for the hours. For me, I think it's 12:30 to 5:30 in the morning. So even though the EV charger is set to charge all the time, when I plug it in, it doesn't charge all the time because the car is only set on its own schedule of 12:30 to 5:30. And as I say, I tested this out a couple of days ago and it worked as smoothly as it normally does. I woke up in the morning, I checked my app to make sure everything had happened okay. And it had taken charge from 12:30 to 5:30, and then it had stopped the charge at 5:30, and that was it. That was my normal charge done. So the car going forward is now going to be in charge of when it charges and when it doesn't. And I'm going to leave my GivEnergy EV charger on that 24/7 schedule. And should the worst happen and the clouds be turned off and the server, no longer exist, then hopefully the EV charger will remember that schedule and I won't have a problem going forward. Now, I know that's a long-winded way of explaining it, but I hope that makes sense. I just wanted to clarify that, because if you did set up your EV charger on plug and charge, you will need to change that, because there's no guarantee that the servers will be online in 3 months, 6 months, a year, who knows. It is looking quite likely at the moment, I would say, that we've got at least a few months before, the servers potentially could get turned off. From reading GivEnergy Software's email, it definitely seems like they're okay at the moment. But ultimately, if they don't get enough subscriptions, they have spelt it out basically that it will spell the end of GivEnergy Software, and they will have no choice but to turn off the cloud, because it costs money and somehow those costs have got to be paid. So I guess I'm keeping my fingers crossed that there are enough people that sign up to the $4.99 a month. To be honest, I'm probably erring on the side of paying it myself, because I do want to support them and I don't want to lose access to the app and the cloud and all that type of thing. So for now, I think I probably will sign up to it. But let me know down in the comments whether, what you're thinking, whether you're going to sign up to it, whether you're not going to. I'll be really interested to know. Right then, guys, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to hit the like button and the subscribe button, and I will catch you in the next one.